Hello, 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 my beautiful friend. Welcome back to Lotus Life The Podcast. This is a podcast spot where we get to hang out each week and we get to chat about the fun in finding your very own path to happiness, how you can live your best goddamn life and, just find joy in even the smallest of things and let's face it, embrace being the imperfectly perfect human being that you are. For those of you that didn't know, the lotus plant has this incredible, beautiful flower that grows out of the depths of muddy water. And this podcast, Lotus Life, is a celebration of kind of embodying just that, blooming from even the murkiest of conditions in life. Each week, episodes bring conversation, share stories and interviews, definitely with a whole lot of laughs along the way because life is way too short to not find the joy in every single little moment. Today's episode was so much damn fun to record. I have the absolute privilege and honor to sit with my very own mentor who I love dearly, the incredible life force that is JACQUI SIVE. And she was so incredible to be on board with pressing record while I sat with her and did her human design chart reading for her. So if you haven't caught some of my earlier episodes, to give you the quick catch up on human design, what it is it's our individual soul's purpose on this planet. And my gift is to be able to guide others to understanding their own human design, which happens through reading charts for people and then teaching you so that you can understand yourself. And it's really just like your permission slip to understand that it is actually okay to be your unique self. It's okay to live life differently to how society has maybe told you that we're all supposed to live in this like one homogenous beige style of life that isn't actually right for us as humanity. And just that, like every single person on this planet has a purpose that is unique to them. You can also think of it as the contract that your soul makes with the universe for this lifetime, for who you came here to be, what you came here to do, and what karma you came here to correct this time around. So each and every one of us on this planet have a unique human design. It's specific to us, and you find out your design by using your birth date, your birth time, and your location you were born, which will give us a chart that is specific to only you. So as you hear in this episode, human design gets super specific into not only the aspects that you will know about yourself, but the subconscious or unconscious things that are going on for you. So we talk things like drive, ambition, emotions, how to know what's right for you to make big decisions in your life, and then also what challenges that are uniquely yours that you're here to work on in this lifetime. For those of you that haven't met JACQUI before, I've been so grateful for this woman entering my life probably about 8 months ago at the time that I'm recording this. I've been mentored by her ever since, and it's no joke when I say that my life has completely changed for the most magical kind of better since she came into my life. JACQUI is an expert coach, mentor, guide who is here to help people go through their own spiritual transformation and also just general life transformation as well. She's the bridge between the science and the woo of what you could call practical spirituality. I freaking love her, and I am so excited to share this episode with you. And as a bit of background to the stuff we dive into in JACQUI's chart, I actually asked her to do a little introduction of herself for you, to give you a little on her backstory in her own words, which will help to kind of put it into a frame and to understand just how mind-blowing what her chart says about her purpose is when you know a little bit about what JACQUI's life was like before she stepped into her calling and the work she does now.
Hey guys, what's what's up? I'm so freaking excited to be here with the beautiful Rose today. I have been looking forward to this for such a long time because Rose and I have been working together for a while now, and she's spoken so much about human design, and this is the first time that I'm really opening to understanding what the fuck my human design is. And I've been on such an incredible journey over the last sort of, especially 3 years of my life, where I really built up the most wonderful identity, right? That so many people would desire to have, where on the outside I had a business that was going well. On the outside, it was a great relationship. On the outside, I had all the things that you should want to tick off on your society says this is what I need to succeed list, right? Until one day I woke up and I realized that I was so fucking depressed because I was so out of alignment with who I truly am and what I'm truly here for, that the life I had created, I'd completely settled for in every single department. And though it was good, it was not great. And my soul knew every single day that I was dying inside, right? That like the more I lived this, for want of a better word, like this fake life, the more that I was strangling my true dreams. And it felt like every day that I woke up that I didn't do anything to get out of that, it just got worse. And it got harder and harder to actually tap back into what it feels like to be the soul that I am, right? And so when I reached this breaking point of just, it's going to be harder to stay where I am than it is to leave, I just knew I had to change something. And since that day, my life has just compounded in the most incredible way, where it's just been success after success after success. It's kind of like the vision or the feeling I'm getting right now is like where you turn off a tap of like shit, right? And then you turn on a tap of just like epicness, you know? And this is the coolest thing as well. Like anyone can do that. You know, there's nothing that makes me special to be able to do that. It's literally just making a decision of going, I'm not fucking aligned with this life because, okay, I'm about to go off on a tangent for like 3 seconds, but we all have those feelings, right? One of the questions I get asked all the time, especially is about relationships. It's like, yeah, I love this person, but I'm just like, you know, I'm waiting for them to change, or I'm not happy, or there's just this little niggle. I don't know if this is the person I'm supposed to be with. That is the fucking voice that's telling you this is not the person you're supposed to be with, right? And so often we get so obsessed with our identities that we've created for ourselves that we find it so difficult to dissolve those and to break them, when actually that's exactly what we need in order to delayer and just step the fuck into our actual powerful light. You feel me? Did that make sense?
Totally. Whew. Yeah. And I think that's so true when it comes to like people talk about like even just understanding their relationships with like 2 human design charts. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, but that person's a certain type, that means they're not the one. And it's like, no, it's all like you've got to do your own work on yourself and then accept them for who they are. It's not about trying to change someone. And yeah,
absolutely. But I mean, for me, in my case, I like 100% knew that I was with the wrong person, and I was just creating like such a safety net for myself because it was so scary to break through the identity that I'd created and this whole life that I'd created for myself that I thought I wanted, when actually it felt so unfulfilling, you know. And at the end of the day, you have to choose yourself first, right? And you have to know that like, yeah, it's going to be tough to dissolve all these parts of my identity, but it's just my human that's obsessed with it. My soul is so fucking happy that I'm choosing to break this, you know what I mean? And it's about like riding that wave. And so over the last, like, I don't even know how long it's been, like over a year now, it's just been the most incredible experience of receiving more and more and more and more goodness every single day in all departments of my life. And all it takes is just making that decision, right? Of knowing, you know what, this doesn't feel so good anymore. Mm-hmm. Be radically honest with myself, get radically uncomfortable, take radical responsibility and change it, right? Actually do something about it, or spend the rest of my life wishing I had.
Yeah. And so what we're going to go over in your chart reading today is, because I know a lot about your story anyway from our work together, that as I was putting it together, I was just like, whoa, like this is
excited for this.
This is like the actual thing between like the Jackie that was, that no longer exists, and the Jackie that is like in her light shining now. So it's very exciting to get to come and talk to you about it.
Well, thank you for freaking having me, Rose. Like, this is an honor for me. I'm so excited to be able to, like I was saying earlier, just witness you and your magic and in your light and see you from your heart doing what you were supposed to be doing. Like, I'm so excited for this. I can't even tell you. I feel like I'm about to like have the yummiest treat or something. I'm so excited, right? Hashtag Taurus life.
Yeah. All right. So should we just dive in?
Yeah.
Should we dive in? Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm gonna try this quickly because Jackie's got a copy of this, but for the sake of everyone who may be watching this, I'm gonna hold up and show. This is what Jackie's chart looks like.
Yay!
So, Jackie, you are what is called a splenic projector in human design speak. So that's like the basic core of who you are, and in terms of when they talk about like getting to know your human design, like honestly those would be the two major starting points for people, that even just having that knowledge can like radically change their life. Like there's so many layers and so much you can get into, but honestly like people will literally just spend even just the first couple of years just getting into those two things alone. So it's really cool. So we're going to cover a lot more than that, but they're kind of like the real starting points, starting blocks.
Yeah, I'm getting goosebumps, but like on my insides, like here, it just feels so good. It's like, yeah, baby.
Which is so interesting because that's your spleen that we'll talk about soon. That's your spleen. Your spleen is in control. So as a projector type, that is like the holistic group. And then within that, there's the different types. So yours being governed by your spleen is like unique to you. Whereas for me, I am a projector, but I'm what's known as a mental projector. So I've got like a completely different kind of type of being a projector to you. But as a whole group, projectors make up about 20% of the world's population. And we're also the newest energy archetype to exist out of the 5 that exist. So we've only been around for about 230 years.
Wow.
So compared to the others that have been here for millennia, right? Like they have been here all along. So and the human design, they talk about the fact that new types will continue to evolve and come into existence as like our collective human consciousness keeps evolving and developing in the future. So there's more to come, we know, that we don't know what they are yet. And so the reason we're called projectors is because our aura that extends the nice 3 feet around us is focused on the other. So we extend and project out into other people. So basically,
I so feel that. Yes.
Yeah. So that's unique to our aura. None of the other types have that. They've got a different aura kind of configuration. So that's what gives us essentially what most projectors will like relate to, that is this kind of superpower of being able to see into other people and like interact with them on like a real deep energetic level, because that's what your aura is doing all the time to everyone around you. The other really cool thing is that we are, because we've got that gift, we're also designed to be seen by others. You'll always be noticed by others, but because society's conditioning and the kind of paradigm that we live in at the moment, it typically tells us that what we're supposed to do of kind of sitting back and waiting for people to approach us isn't the successful way to live. So it's like for a lot of projectors, they'll actually hear that they're a projector and go, oh my God, I've been trying to live my life as a generator or a manifester, which is 80% of the world around you.
Wow.
When you think of it that way, like you are literally surrounded by generators, manifestors, and manifesting generators. Like they are all around you. Reflectors they only make up 1% of the population. So they're super rare. They're like the unicorns. So because we are so different, we're what's called a non-energy type. And all the other types, that 80% of the world, are known as energy beings. So we don't have a consistent form of life force energy that these other types have. Our gifts and what the projector is here for is to have wisdom. We're here basically to give that wisdom on to the others and use what is your unique soul's purpose to guide the 80% around you. Wow. So basically imagine it like your soul is here to be the bird sitting up on the branch of a tree, kind of overlooking the herd around you and guiding them and helping them from your vantage point. And then you get to kind of choose when you want to use your energy, like strategically, like almost like a bird, like you flap your wings and go to the next tree and see what's ahead, or tell everyone where to go and gain that clarity.
Wow. This is like, I feel like I'm just repeating myself. I'm literally here just like, yeah.
It's one of those things about human design is you suddenly go, this is my permission slip that I've kind of like, my soul has been like going, why do I feel different to everyone else usually? Like, yeah. And that's where this is where it can be so useful, because it kind of just lets you know that it's okay to be you. All these things that you maybe know about yourself.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Like, I so resonate with what you just said earlier about like the aura of just like one of my biggest challenges, not so much lately, but especially in my like, you know, younger years. When I say younger, I mean like freaking 3 years ago, whatever, is like, and actually still sometimes now, like it's very difficult for me to meet someone and just have a service conversation. Like it drains me to just talk about the fucking weather or like a car. Like I cannot have conversations like that. It makes me feel so physically ill that I just like need a nap afterwards. But it also, on like the other side of that, gets me into so much shit, because I'll meet someone and I'll speak directly to their truth without even realizing it, and it'll trigger the like, it just triggers people so much, and then I end up just sitting there going like, oh fuck, was it something? And then they'll come back to me like a day later or a couple of weeks or a month, and they'll just be like, I need you to know, like, you fucking changed my life with what you said, and I didn't realize it at the time, or whatever, you know. But like it's almost always people come back and they say that to me, and I'm just like, oh, okay.
Yeah. So now we're back round.
Yeah.
You've worked through that shit, and now we can get to the real core. So another, that's kind of like exactly it, right? Like another real interesting thing about projectors is that we're actually way more interested in other people's designs, like that nature of us seeing into others, like, and we kind of have that desperate need to like tell others what we know. Like, so it's exactly that. Like, it really is an urge that projectors have, that they're like, I have all this wisdom. I know, but our purpose is to be here to guide, and we have to wait for that right, like, energetic exchange. And that's where for a lot of projectors, they're kind of living out of alignment with their design, because they're hurrying in to like give that advice, or that kind of like, it's unsolicited, like, you know, kind of, this is what I know, this is what I can see, rather than waiting for someone to come and say to you, I know you've got wisdom, can you share it with me? Like, it's such an energetic thing. And so one of the main things is like being recognized by others is like the key to unlocking a projector's sort of superpower and their gifts. So so basically allowing others to recognize you and your aura first, and then because your aura is open as well, they get like drawn kind of magnetically in towards you. And that's when, in human design speak, they say that projectors need to wait for an invitation. So that would then come from someone like recognizing you for your gifts and your talents and your magic. They get kind of like drawn to you, and then they offer an invitation to you that you can then say, yes, I can help you with that, or yes, I can do this with you or for you or whatever. So it's like it's kind of a two-step process for projectors. But that recognition is something that when people are living out of their alignment, they're like so desperate to be recognized for what they know they're good at. And it can kind of work against them if they're out of alignment, because they're kind of just going, why can no one see me? Why can no one like understand what I'm here for? Yeah.
Totally. I really resonate with that, like with my like previous life, as I like to call it, where I felt like I was like living under a cap, you know. I had a bubble and I couldn't break that bubble, you know, and as soon as I put that life down, you know, I the whole bubble broke open, you know.
Yeah. And you were like, oh wow, like it's like you've shaken off all this stuff, that it's like suddenly, or like Harry Potter time, you've taken off like your invisibility cloak, and it's like everyone can see you, right? Yeah.
Totally,
yeah. And so then also like energetically, it's like learning as a projector that not all invitations are going to be right for you as well. So it's like being able to trust and not hang on to that like desperation to just say yes to everything, that's where, and in your case, Jackie, having the splenic influence, and that's your kind of guiding authority, will tell you whether an invitation is right for you. And so that gives a projector like basically the green light to go like, yeah, this is when I can start using my power and my magic and give all my good advice and wisdom, but it's learning to use that.
Would that explain, so over the last like 12 or 13 months, I've lived my whole life from what I have for breakfast to what I wear to who I let into my life to where I travel, everything. I've lived it by one rule, and that's follow what feels good. And I've never done that to like the absolute intensity that I have over the last 12 to 13 months. And I really put down so much of the success that I've had to specifically that. And the way that I've always looked at it is like, you know, because I obviously come from the manifesting background, I come from the energetic embodiment, the vibrational alchemy. So for me, it's like following what feels good means it's in alignment with my higher self, right? And I always refer, it's like always here. So with that sort of, is that sort of like the same thing? Is that coming from that human design of it? Is it the follow what feels good?
It probably is for you, but there might be like a nuance within that it's like you may or may not be aware of it, but your spleen will have a like real in the moment thing that it gives you. It's like a one hit and it doesn't come back. Like it won't tell you a second time.
Yeah.
So you will get to know, and it will be a real like physiological thing. So it might be like a tingle sensation or like a smell or a taste that's like your hit. And so for a lot of people, if they've been relying on either like their head or their like emotional wave to make their decisions, because that's kind of more what we're told as a collective, we're supposed to like rationalize it, that you might have like without meaning to suppressed what that actually is, that guiding thing. So
and the more you suppress it, I feel the weaker it becomes as well.
So it's definitely like a muscle that once you start being open to it and using it and kind of like listening for it or whatever, that's when you can start like working that muscle so that you know that you can trust it, basically, because it comes down to trust, doesn't it? That you could probably easily ignore something if it's that kind of simple, like just subtle voice that's coming through to say like, yes, this is right, like let's do this, or go talk to that person, or get on that plane, or don't get on that plane, you know, like it's just as simple as that. So we'll talk about that more when we get into your thing, because it's like that whole thing is its whole own it's fascinating though. And so where were we up to? So like just going back to kind of talking about that energetic exchange of like when an invitation is right for you, so imagine it like that. You're basically waiting to have that energetic exchange with someone, but it also means that like with people who are really in your kind of like circle, you'll get certain people that you'll have like an open energetic exchange with. And so that might be like, you know, in your case, it might be like your family or like your really close friends, that they might not necessarily always have to give you a new invitation. Like you just know that the invitation's always there because they trust you and they are.
I can already in my like straight away I know it's like Leah and Kayla for sure. Like that as soon as you said that, I was like, I really feel that, you know. So you don't have to necessarily always wait for them to give you an invitation, but for someone that you've not created any energy with before, it might be a case that you do need to wait for that invitation from them. That's so cool. I love that. So how would you wow, a fly just flew literally, like did you see that? That was amazing. The chances of that happening were like 1 in a million. Sorry, my brain's just going, that was fucking cool. Anyway, Jackie, where are we? So when you say like wait for the invitation, right, like what does that actually mean? Is it literally someone coming to you and saying like, hey, can you give me XYZ on XYZ? Or is it more of a feeling that as a projector we should be looking for?
So it's definitely more of a like direct kind of approach from another person. So it's not like it comes down to more like, I think in human design, it's thinking about like the real big consequential stuff. So it's not like I can't go to the supermarket unless somebody invites me to go, you know?
Got yeah. It's more like real life-changing stuff, huh?
Yeah. So think about it. It's like the big picture stuff. Like if this is going to be like a new client that you work with, or a new opportunity to collaborate, or a new like something you might be putting out into the world, that there's a certain amount that you can still do, because we'll talk about this, to basically like create your magic. But it's at that point that there's like the energetic exchange with someone else, that like if you were to go and try and like sell yourself to someone, that's where the energy will be wrong. But if they come to you and they're like, hey Jackie, I've seen your stuff, like I love how like you talk about this, I would love to know how we could work together, boom, gone. Like that's fantastic, that's perfect. Yeah
I totally feel that.
And then just because that energetic exchange is so like, because it's so more I guess like, I don't want to say draining, because that's a kind of negative connotation, but like for projectors, like our energy is limited, right? So it's really important for projectors to have super strong boundaries, like even more so than any of the other types, because you need to cultivate like that kind of sacred space where you can retreat to like nourish and nurture and protect your energy. And then learning how, because projectors typically have a much more open design, like in that chart, all the whiteness, the white centers is where you will always be absorbing energy from other people. So it's really important to have that way of discharging everything that's not your own, basically.
When you say the white centers, do you mean like these little, like the white triangles on there? Oh,
yes. Yeah. So anything that's not got a color inside the box is somewhere where you basically will, as a projector, you will be like really easily taking on someone else's energetics or their aura, and you will also amplify it. So it's where projectors typically easily get like super burnt out, because they've absorbed and amplified from everybody else around them, and it's not their own. So unless they've got a really good way of discharging every day, getting rid of all the stuff that's not theirs, they will typically feel really overwhelmed, really burnt out, really like up and down and crash. Yeah. So it's super important to have all of that. And that's also where it comes down to, as like a last kind of caveat for projectors, is that this is where it's really cool and helpful to understand, like say the designs of the people around you in your life that you are spending heaps of time with, because if they are generators or manifesting generators, they have got a defined sacral, which projectors don't have. And that sacral is always giving out energy. They are like energizer bunnies all the time. And if you are, say, in a relationship and sleeping together in the same bed, you are unconsciously absorbing their sacral energy all night, and your soul actually can't get the rest and peaceful rejuvenation that it needs. Yeah. So they say that for projectors, if you know that your partner or whatever, or people you spend a lot of time with, have got that sacral defined, that you need an opportunity to either like nap, or like maybe 1 or 2 nights every now and then get an opportunity to sleep by yourself, so that you can like completely discharge and have a restful sleep. Yeah.
I need to like give you Tom's info. Figure all this out.
So you can like see how it's all gonna like interact with each other. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
And definitely like on that note, sleep is like your best friend.
Yeah.
Like even if even if you feel like people might be going like, but you already slept heaps, like you need more. Like projectors always need more.
Yeah, because it is like, it's energetically, you know, when you are, and especially in it's funny, I like never say my job, because it doesn't feel like a job. It's like in the work that I do, in the contribution that I give to the world, right? It's all energetics based, and that's where I am really lucky, where it does make me able to see the truth in people. And so I'm really able to speak to the potential in people constantly. I can't actually even really see the non-potential in people. Like I just don't, I mean, you know, from working with me, like I just don't even, that part doesn't even exist, you know? So it's so cool to hear all of this. And yeah, it is definitely, I can feel why it's important to really have those strong boundaries, to be able to recharge and renew, right?
Yeah. And I think that kind of comes hand in hand as well with a lot of that, like once you've got into that work on like doing the work on yourself, like there's a reason all these things kind of exist and that people say they're so important, because even if you are like an energy being, you still need rest. Like you still need to be able to discharge what's not yours, because you can have like a generator that actually has got just as much white in their chart as you. Like they've got exactly the same amount of whiteness. So they are really susceptible to being like taking on conditioning from other people and taking on energy from other people. So yeah, it's kind of like projectors are probably the ones that need it the most out of all the types, and reflectors as well. But yeah, it's kind of fascinating. So going back to your question about essentially how does the wait for an invitation sort of process work? So it's basically like, yeah, think of it that it's the two parts of, the first is getting recognition from someone, and then the second is waiting for that energetic invitation or like actual coming to you. So someone saying to you something like, hey Jackie, I really love what you do. That's not an invitation. That's just them recognizing you. And then it's like having the trust and the patience and the like calmness to go, okay, they recognize me. That's really cool. We can keep our energetic thing going, but waiting for that moment that they actually then come to you and say, and now how can I work with you, or what can I do with you, or can you answer this question for me? Like, and you're also free to like ask them kind of questions, because that's the projector's gift, is like being able to see what someone needs. So kind of like asking them the right questions that will then let them help themselves is a really big part of it.
Yeah, massively. I think that's like 99% of my conversations as a human being, you know. And it's funny because people always, like, people in my friendship circle, you know, or my family or partner or whatever, that was like, they'll often say to me like, are you like, is this coach Jackie, or is this like, you know, like person Jackie? And I'm just like, it's one and the same person. Like there's no separation. Like that's just how I communicate. It's like, you know, like oh man, you know, this person cut me off, like whatever on the road. Oh, so what did that like trigger in you? You know, like that's me purely asking.
Yeah, like, whoa, you're having a really big reaction to this, you know, like, yeah.
Exactly. Let's dive deeper. Let's like explore this. Yeah.
So
you're listening. There's no difference between Coach Jackie and Jackie.
Yeah. So, and then basically, like, for a lot of projectors, the first thing they'll say is, but the world tells me that I'm supposed to, like, if I want to make anything of myself, I have to grind, I have to hustle, I have to pitch, I have to do. And that's why it's, when you're told like you're a projector and you maybe have been like trying to live as a generator or a manifestor, it's like your world gets flipped upside down, because you're like, well, what the fuck am I supposed to do? What am I supposed to do? I can't do all those things. Like, how am I supposed to actually do anything with my life? So it doesn't mean you can't do anything. Thinking of the point where you're maybe like still waiting for that invitation to come in is like the magic of the in-between. So you can use that time. The more a projector can be an expert in their niche of what their soul is here for, the more magnetic they're going to be to other people. So it's like the more you can hone that skill, develop that skill, work on it, like nurture yourself in that kind of magical space, and have that trust that the more you do that work, the more life will come to you. So it's very much remembering that you can use all the things like social media and your website and talk to other people and like share what you're doing and like what your magic is, and like put up photos and put up stories and write and create, but not have an energetic tie to it or a response that's required. So it's like sharing without expectation in return.
I love that. Yeah, it's such a powerful thing, and it, you know, it fits so well with manifesting and with the vibrational alchemy of life as well, because anything that we come at from a vibrational standpoint of needing it, you know, of like, oh, hustle, grind, push, force, you know, that just comes from that dominant vibration of lack, essentially, because you're so focused on doing something that you are just consistently reminding yourself that you don't have it yet, and that in a vibrational sense and an energetic sense is just attracting more of that back to you. So I really love how aligned this is with my one of my fundamental core beliefs in the way that I operate, is literally surrendering, right? And really living from that place of trust and faith that everything is already on its way to me. It's on the way to all of us, right? And we don't have to, like, yeah, we take the action, but I mean, you know what I say? It's like we first create that dominant vibration within us, and then we look at what human action needs to be taken in order to support that vibration, right? But it's that internal core vibration frequency that matters the most. Anytime, anywhere, no holds barred, no exceptions.
And it would be so fascinating to know, like, how many, say, projectors you attract to you, because you are putting out that, like, reassurance that, like, this is okay to be who you are, you know, in that energetic sense of saying, like, it's okay to put out your magic and not be like, not having the kind of like grabby hand.
Yeah.
It's like you're just putting it out there with like open palms,
yeah,
and waiting for what comes back. Yeah.
I definitely know one of my clients is actually a projector with the Splenic Authority as well, so that's really funny. Babe, what time were you born? You know what time you were born? Just like off the
6:05.
6:05 specifically.
Oh, so he knows. We'll have to do like a follow-up of like what
he
is.
also knows what his rising sign is. Getting a little hot in here, you know.
Could be like part 2 is like the how do your charts like.
Yeah, I'd be so interested actually, especially now just learning about all that white space stuff. Like that makes so much freaking sense. Like
and
so much sense.
And just on a like side tangent for that is that when you look at your chart, there'll be like certain lines that are just like little half lines coming off your that are either like red or black.
Yeah,
and they don't go all the way through to another one, but when the other end that's white is joined, it makes a channel, and so it becomes like something else that basically like lights up those two parts. And so when you say that like someone completes you, it's like they literally might have that other end of the channel, and
that
you
is
connect.
so interesting.
Yeah, so it's like really like when all these sayings like you complete me, it's like it comes down to human design. There are literally places where people can complete each other and like complement and create something that is like a whole.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. That is so powerful, eh? I
So
tried
real like
yeah, sorry, I just went off on such a big tangent there, but it was fun. It was sorry, not sorry.
So I'll just I won't go into this too much because like basically it's exactly what we were talking about before of like that living in your kind of like highest self state, like living in your design, living in your alignment, high vibration. Like so basically for a projector, the general like term they'll use for like if you are in your best state is you will feel successful or you will feel like you've been a success, versus if you are out of alignment, like a real kind of like flag will be any sense of like bitterness or feeling bitter is like the major flag for like a projector that they need to kind of like course correct and get back on track. So there's a lot in human design that kind of some of the older stuff talks like a lot from like the kind of negative mindset about like what not to do or how not to feel, but I try and choose to like talk about it in the sense of like this is what you want to like either be feeling or like aspire to feel like, so it kind of reframes it in that way of like talking about the positive future state. So yeah, it can kind of some of it when you start reading it can feel a bit heavy, but it's like just looking at it with a different lens and going like, okay, well, all that is like a flag that basically like if you're feeling bitter, you need to just kind of do something to like shake it up and get back in alignment. Yeah,
Well, that's what life is, right? It's like that constant course correction.
Yes, and it's where that just that general sense that like for projectors usually as well, if they're feeling like burnt out, overwhelmed, exhausted, that's also like a major like red flag to be like you are not living in your design, because you shouldn't be. If you are living in your design, life should feel easy, it should feel successful, and you should feel like you are just like this magnetic, like magical, energetic being basically. Yeah,
it's a good place to be feeling, that's for sure.
Yeah. And I was just going to see if there's anything I had like written here specific to your design.
So beautiful. I just have to tell you that. Look at you coming all close to the camera. You really are so beautiful.
Thanks.
Should I have an invitation to say that?
Definitely knowing when enough is enough can be a real work on for you, because like taking on that condition of trying to like prove yourself, or like fear of not being invited, like because for you, like we'll talk about it a little bit more in a minute, you've got your root center or root chakra, because it's the same thing, is defined. So you actually have got quite a lot of energy there, and it's all like adrenaline energy. So like so we'll touch on that in a minute. And then like for projectors in general, like you've been kind of conditioned that everything should be coming from like up here, you should be like thinking about your decisions, but it's like dropping out of that and getting into your authority. So for you, like that spleen, and like trusting that your spleen is the thing that will like guide you. So for like projectors in general, it's like finding what their authority is and then learning to trust that. And so we've talked before about how mine is, I don't have one. Like I don't have an internal one. I have nothing inside me. So I have to literally just be able to like speak out loud to someone else and hear myself say what I'm talking about, and then I'll know what my decision is. So it's like,
that's so cool.
Yeah,
I really love
it's like when you first hear it, you're like, what the hell? And then you kind of think about it. And for me, and I was like, that makes so much sense.
Right.
Because I've never had that like inner knowing, and I've been like, how the fuck do other people know what they're supposed to feel right now?
Wow, that's so cool. I mean, it's what I mean by it's so cool is it's so cool that you've been able to like, identify that, and then be able to work with that too. Yeah.
The kind of like the knowing yourself part, right? Mm-hmm. So let's talk spleens. Your spleen is your authority.
What up, spleen? I love you.
Yeah. So in your chart, it's let me see if I can point it out on here for the camera so people know which part I'm talking about. It's this little triangle that's highlighted where my finger's hopefully pointing at.
The brown one?
The brown triangle that's pointing sideways.
48, 57, 44, something, 32.
Yeah, that one. So basically what your spleen is, think of it like your inner knowing, like we were saying before. It's instinctual, it's instantaneous, and it's like a resonance within you that will tell you whether something or someone or some situation is right for you. It's known also as the fear center, but again, I don't really like using that word, but it's that evolved survival instinct is like all held in that part of you. So it's anything that's going to basically directly link with like your survival instincts and mechanisms to basically tell you whether this opportunity or person is safe or not, So basically, if you've got splenic authority, it means having that like self-awareness and self-attention to go like, okay, what are my physiological cues, like we were saying before? And if you haven't been using it, it's definitely the muscle you need to kind of work and develop and like get it stronger. It's super in the moment, and it will only say it once in the moment, and then it doesn't repeat itself. So your challenge is that if you've not been using it, it's like learning to kind of, maybe as you go through your day-to-day life, like note down any sensations that you have that you can kind of hear or feel or whatever, smell, taste, tingle. And then you can look back and start to kind of see a pattern of like, oh, so that thing that was really good for me to do, this is like a pattern I can see that every time I've made like a decision that's been like good for me or that I know has been right for me, this was something that popped up each time.
Cool. I love that. Yeah.
And it's also like, it's hard for you because if somebody's talking about something like future based or whatever, like you've got to tune into it even more. And it might just be that you need to like buy yourself time. So it's like, if somebody says like, oh, Jackie, in 6 months, can you do this thing for me? They've invited you. And then if you kind of have you don't know whether your spleen has said yes or no, you might just want to buy yourself a bit of time and say like, that sounds really awesome. Can we keep the energy open on this? And I'll come back to you, like ask me again in, like a couple of months time, and we'll see how our energy is going and whatever. Like you can kind of like give yourself the opportunity to like have the second kind of go at it in a way.
Yeah, cool. I like that. That's really cool. Yeah, I find that I sometimes need time as well. Like when I'm getting downloads, I need to say to people sometimes, like I literally have to say out loud that I need like I think I've even probably done this with you, like I need a minute to actually just translate what words feel good to put to this feeling that I've gotten. Give out, you know, and I used to try and like really kind of force myself, and I would just end up going and trying to find the right words as I spoke, you know, which is funny because you just mentioned the needing to be enough, you know, and giving, you know, like needing to blah 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 essentially. So it's like, yeah, that's really cool. Fuck, all of this resonates so hard. This is amazing.
And so just lastly on that, before we move on to the next part, is that, yeah, like I think I mentioned it before, that any of those sayings that you've heard in the past of like, I smell a rat, or this smells fishy, or like, those are all your splenic senses. So those sorts of things, there might be one that you like know that has always resonated with you, and that will possibly be a hint for like what your sense is that's like directed to that, or connected to that, I should say. So yeah, it's definitely like starting to just kind of like track for yourself if you don't know as of right now like what it is, but yeah, starting to listen out for it.
Yeah, I think it's like an instantaneous, like I get like a feeling, like a literal yes or no all the time, you know, and it's like, and I mean we all do this, right? It's like so easy to justify your way out of the instant hit that you get, but life can only ever be so fucking good if you listen to that. It's like, yeah, I mean we know this. It's and
like then it's so funny because I don't get that at all. I'm literally like left there sitting there like, I don't know.
Give me something, please.
Yeah, I'm like, come on, like give me something to work with. So I literally have to sit there and go, Jackie, I don't know, and then start talking about all the like different scenarios, and then go, oh yeah, that one that I just said, that's the one.
Yeah, right. But that's cool. Like it's awesome to be able to do that.
Yeah. So so that's like basically your two major things in your chart that like, even if you're just doing those, like you're kind of like well on the road, which like we know already with like the way your life has gone, you're already well down that track, but it just gives you that kind of like clearer picture of, as a projector.
And it makes sense to my human side now, like the part of me that loves science and understanding shit, like that quantifies it all for me now. You know, it's like, here's the science to it.
Yeah. So what we're going to go into next is more like the stuff to do with like your soul and your soul's like purpose. So I want to make sure we get
again.
So I want to make sure we have enough time to like go through this stuff as well. So so basically you will have seen maybe in your chart that everyone's got this what's called a cross of incarnation, and they can sound really out there, but essentially that's like the short version of that is that gives you a guide as to what your soul has come here in this lifetime and what karma you've come here to heal from past lives.
Is that on here? Like what?
That's not on your the visual chart. It's on like, there'll be a second part that's like all the text to do with your gates and channels and things like that. So it's not in the screenshot I sent you, but it'll be there in the bigger chart. So for yours is known as the right angle cross of the unexpected.
I need to write that down.
Yeah.
Right
angle cross of unexpected.
The unexpected. Oh, that really excites me.
And so basically the like one liner of what this is that your purpose is to go through an unexpected series of experiences, which then in turn initiates your purpose and will nourish you and will expand your intelligence in this lifetime.
Holy shit, can we say that again? Unexpected series of experiences that
in turn initiates your purpose. So it's like the thing that lights your fire, I guess, and then will always nourish you and will expand your intelligence as a being here on earth.
Fuck, that feels so good.
So like kind of
like having an orgasm right now.
Kind of like you've got to go through the shit and then share it kind of approach, I guess.
Well, here I am.
Yeah. And so then as like a second layer to that, within your, everyone's got something that's called a profile, which is 2 numbers that you'll see. And in your case, you are a 4/6, which is known as the opportunist and the role model. So the 4 is essentially what your dominant conscious state is, and the 6 is like your underlying subconscious part of your soul and your personality. So what they mean when they come together is that you've got the conscious brain, but you've also got the underlying subconscious, and they hold hands and they create a soul's kind of purpose in this world that kind of is like the cross of incarnation is where you're going, and this is how you will get there, kind of thing. So basically it means that you are more of a soul that's like, I want to say self-sufficient, but it's like you don't need to look to others to give you your sense of like your soul's purpose, but you are here and designed for leadership because of that role model. So that's definitely what you're here for in that leadership role. And you lead best by being that living example of the behaviors and the ideals that others should embrace or like can embrace. And basically, your greatest influence that you will have on the world is through using that role model line that's in your subconscious personality and doing just that, like taking those unexpected experiences and then role modeling for the world around you and for your people that are in your tribe. And so you really thrive and blossom in your leadership role with that influence from like the carefully picked close connections that you've got around you. And those relationships and those close connections are super important for you, especially on that level of like intimacy and mutual trust. Yeah. Like that's something for you that's like really important.
Oh my God, this is just like blowing my mind right now. Like just thinking about, my past life and the relationships and some of the friendships that I was engaged in, of just like how superficially draining they were. And I just kept trying to like make it work until I, like, as I say, like just freaking strangled my soul, right? Compared to now, where any human connection I make, I base it off whether it feels good or not, and how authentic I can be in these relationships and friendships, and it's just like such a huge difference. And I totally understand, like for me, one of the biggest influences is the people that I keep around me, not in terms of what I get from them, but the conversations we have and the fire that exists within the partnerships, whether it's friendships or relationships,
Yeah, totally. So that's something that you are like, your soul came here and chose that. Like it's what it came here and chose to do and be. And something that as part of that, because your role model is like a subconscious part, sometimes, and in your life you already are doing this, like it's that being able to step up and lead before that depth of like connection that you will be looking for has been established. So it's like trusting that even though it might feel uncomfortable, your leadership is still needed. So it's like using your spleen to kind of be the thing that guides you, that says like, yeah, this is okay. I don't have to have a super deep connection yet, but it's coming. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of like the real condensed version of what your soul came here and the karma you came here to kind of like handle in this lifetime.
Fucking down for it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's, I thought what we can do now is talk about in your chart, those centers. So the ones that are colored in and then the ones that are white. And then what I've done at the same time is like, I'll talk a little bit on kind of the stuff that's like specific to your chart, so that we can kind of like talk about it, because obviously we can't be here for like 5 hours, even though there would be like 5 hours worth of stuff that we could talk about.
Just on a side note for anyone listening, hey guys, by the way, hi. How long would you recommend, Rose, for someone to have a session with you? Like how long would be a really good amount of time to get a thorough fuck yes, walk away with everything they need kind of reading?
I think that you'd need at least an hour and a half.
Yeah.
But if you want to be able to like ask a few questions and like talk about stuff as we kind of go through it, like having kind of that up to like 2 hours is probably like allows me to feel like I've done everything for that person, because otherwise I get like, oh my God, but I haven't talked about this and I haven't talked about this, and
Right, yeah.
I just want to make sure people have got like everything. But in saying that, like one of the things that I'm doing at the moment is that I want to do it like that people can come and do their first reading, and then we're including like a complimentary that's like a second reading, maybe like somewhere between like 6 to 12 months in the future, so that they can kind of like get started with their design and then talk about the more in-depth stuff and how they can start leaning into that once they've had a chance to just kind of get into it.
Perfect.
Yeah. So it's exciting. Yeah.
Oh!
Okay, so let's talk centers. So basically the first place we'll start is what's the difference if they're colored or they're white. So basically if it's colored in, it's what's known as a defined center. And the more of these in your chart that you have colored in, and think of these centers as all being like chakras within your body.
Yeah.
Except
that's what I was going to ask you,
except in human design there's 2 extra compared to like the standard chakra system. So it's like as the human kind of I guess like collective has evolved over time, human design has kind of separated out that there's like another 2 that they want to like specifically refer to on top of like the standard probably chakra system that like you talk about all the time. And so the more that you have colored in within your chart, basically it means it's almost like the more of an energetic buffer you've got against the world around you. And projectors typically have a lot of white open centers in their charts. So that's why we tend to be a lot more open to the world around us. If it's colored in, it means basically that you are like self-sufficient within that center or that chakra. So you have a consistent energy there, and you consistently can access the abilities and traits that center gives you. And yeah, it basically means that you're not going to take in the conditioning from someone else if you've got that defined.
Right. Okay.
And then on the other hand, if it's white, there's kind of 2 things that it can be. If it's got no little gates or lines coming off it that are either red or black, and I think you've got one, it might be your kind of next to the yellow diamond. You've got one that's got nothing coming off it. So basically that would be considered open, and that means that you are basically like completely open. Like there is absolutely nothing that is yours to do with that center. So what you kind of have to, in that center, you've got to act like a sieve and like basically let stuff kind of just like flow through you, rather than like taking it on and magnifying it and amplifying it and taking on everybody else's stuff.
So what is that center for me? Like
that is your heart center. So we'll talk about that in a minute as to like why that's so interesting for you, that you don't have like anything coming off it. You're completely open in that part of your design. And then if there are either like red or black lines coming off it, means it is undefined. And so that just means that you are also super open and susceptible to like other people's energy or aura that will influence you. But you have got like a few things that are kind of like your own specific like energetics that are yours. But it just means that you might absorb like the influence from someone else through that open white center, and you can possibly amplify it, but it's not yours to hold on to. Once that other person goes away, you're going to be left with either like an emotion that's like way through the roof, like amplified, or it's going to disappear and you're going to like slump and be like, oh my God, I don't have the access to that anymore. So it's really interesting.
Just say that again. I just need to really get that like in my mind's eye. Can you just say that, those like last 2 sentences?
So say for example, you in your particular chart, your solar plexus, which is your emotional wave, yours is open. So if you're around someone who has a defined center there, their emotions and stuff, they could walk into a room feeling like a a 2 out of 10 pissed off about something, but they're kind of like having a little rant about like, oh my God, this blah, blah, blah happened to me. Because you're open there, undefined, sorry, you will take on their emotion, and you could potentially be feeling a 7 out of 10 because you've taken it on, you've amplified it, and then you're left with all this emotion that's not yours.
That happens to me all the time. And I literally have to be like, why the fuck am I feeling like that? Oh, okay, it's because of that. And then like dump it, you know?
Yeah. So it's like you've got to have those real strong processes and boundaries to be able to basically just like flush out and discharge. Yes. And that's why for projectors, having that space at home away from other auras is so important.
Yeah, I understand why now.
Yeah. And so I'll just add for like people listening that like often like when we talk about this openness, like a question that comes up a lot is like, oh, well, does that mean you're an empath if you've got lots of openness? And people assume that because projectors and reflectors typically have got more openness in their chart, that they are the only people who can be empaths. And that's not really the case, because you can have a generator with heaps of white in their chart and openness. So it doesn't necessarily mean that it's only projectors and reflectors that can be have that ability to take on the emotion or like take on the feel of the room or whatever, or read people. The difference for projectors is that we've got that penetrating thing that we can see into the other person. So that's where we feel like we are energetically, we can see straight to the heart of someone else, and then we're really open to their energy affecting us. So projectors do tend to be more towards that side of being like people who are seers and guides, and you know, like they've got that energetic ability to like help the collective tribe, I guess, and understand others. And then a reflector, just quickly, like if you look at their chart, they have no colored in things, they are all white. So they literally have nothing that is their own, but their aura is like Teflon surrounding them. So they actually have got a better time than projectors, because they can just like let stuff slide straight off them. They don't get that kind of like, we take it on because we're open. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I feel it's near impossible for me to not take it on. Like I've gotten really good at recognizing that I've taken something on and expanded it, and then I've dumped it. But it's like probably because it is part of my human design, it feels near impossible to not take it on at all. I feel like it's more just about being aware of like, oh, okay, this has just happened. That's not mine. Let's put it down over there, you know?
And I think that's going to be, it's interesting you mentioned that, because that's really, I think, a specific thing in your chart, that you've got like a real strong sense of helping other people that we'll talk about in a minute. So I think that process where like you're working really hard to get rid of it, but your natural instinct is to care so much about people around you that even though you might have flushed as much as you can, you've still got that sense of like obligation and like
Kayla always gives me so much shit, because she's like, she'll tell me, you know, we like literally we're so fucking close that even if there's like 3 beds in a house, like we'll always want to sleep together. Like we just love being close to each other. And she'll wake up in the morning and she'll be like, oh my gosh, I had such a bad dream last night. Like, this is what happened. And my first thing is to just try and solve it for her and be like, oh, why did you have this bad dream? Where's that coming from? You know, like and half an hour later, I'll walk up to her and I'll be like, hey, I figured it out for you. And she'll just help up, you know, she's like, I love that you're still thinking about that. And I'm like, but I really am. Like, you don't understand.
And she's like, I don't even remember. Like,
yeah, she's like, love you, Kayla.
Oh, that's so good. And it's so interesting, like knowing what we're going to talk about in a minute. So now what I want to talk about for you first is your centers in your chart that are defined. So they're the ones that have got colors. And I'll just quickly say that when you look at your chart and see the lines that are either black or red, the black ones are your conscious personality. It's what you know about yourself. Wow. The red is your subconscious or unconscious, and you may or may not be aware of it. But it will be the stuff that someone else could hear and go, yeah, that's so you. Like, that's you. Like, other people see it, but you maybe can't see it about yourself. So that's just the difference. And you can have two, you can have a red and a black line in the same little thing. That just means that it's like you're doubled down on that within your chart. Like you've got it both in your conscious and unconscious personality.
Yeah, I've got quite a few of those, eh?
Yeah. So you're like real strong and like you've got lots of like real strong parts that are like all linking together like really tightly. So you've got some like really strong bonds that are like conscious and subconscious, like doubling down on that energy and that part of you. So yeah. It's all part of your gifts. So
what are those? Oh, you'll probably tell me in a minute.
So we'll start with your throat center or your throat chakra. And so in your chart, that's the brown square that's like just below the two triangles in your head. And so for you've got that defined, and what you can think of is like that and this is funny that you said earlier about the flow of like chi in your body. The throat is essentially like, think of your body like the map of the town, and the throat is the town square. So it's like all the energy is flowing towards here in everybody, and all roads will lead to Rome. So basically there's like pressure coming from your head and your root, pushing everything towards your throat, and it wants you to be able to communicate or act upon what is going on energetically. So obviously for everyone, this is the way that we would try to attract attention to ourselves, and it's the way that we manifest through communication. So about 70% of the world have got a defined throat. And then for you, what's the best way to put it? Okay, so 70% of the world have got a defined throat, and basically whatever that throat is like linked straight to will be like your gift of what you can like easily speak about. So if it's linked to your mind, you will be able to speak about like what's on your mind. If it's linked to your emotional center, it will be easy for you to talk about your emotions. In your case, it's linked directly by like 2, so you've got like double down to the yellow diamond in your chest, which is called the G center in human design. But basically what that is that's your higher self, your identity, and your direction. You are like directly linked between your throat and your higher self, identity.
I don't even know what the links mean, but it just feels so fucking right. Like I'm just like, yes.
You've got like a super strong connection of being able to speak from your higher self, basically. Like that is your soul's gift going there. And so for you, your gifts lie in communicating, like we were talking before, the lessons. When we were talking about your 4 and a 6 being your like ability to go through something and then share it. So your gift lies in communicating the lessons of the past, and like not just talking like human past, but like the past, like past lives past. Like you've got that gift. And in a position as being like a recognized and invited leader. So that will come really naturally for you, that if you are in your design, you will easily be recognized and invited as a leader of like the collective. It's not going to come difficult to you at all by any stretch. And the world will really easily be able to see like your skill and your ability to lead, because having that throat chakra defined is like really important for being able to like communicate to everyone around you, and they understand that you've got like the skill and the knowledge to be able to be in that leadership role. And what you can think of it is like that you are always going to be in that role as like almost like the alpha wolf, but the one that goes off and creates its own pack of like high vibe people. Like that's you. You've got your high vibe tribe, right?
Literally a bazillion%. Yeah. But only in the last like 2 years, right? Not even, probably the last 18 months.
Yeah. So you will like, you will gather those people to you, and then you'll be kind of like that alpha leader of the collective, but you are like pointing the right way for them to go from a place of like influence, of like showing them from your own experience, but you know you can't do it for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then another thing to do with that G center for you is that you've got the gift of being, the throat center, while we're still on the throat, is that you've got the gift of being the listener and the record keeper and kind of like the gatherer of memories. So this is again getting into the like past karma, you know, all of that stuff. Like, you've got that gift of like gathering all that wisdom and passing it on to the collective as well. So it's like you can share that wisdom that not only comes from your experience, but like past memories, and you kind of collate it all. And then you've got that ability to be like, I know it doesn't make sense right now, but it will make sense in the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hard. I literally say that to people all the time. I'm like, I know that this probably makes no sense right now, but this just is like coming through for you.
Yeah, like trust me, it will make sense in the end. Like, you're there to kind of like reassure people that it's okay. It will all work out in the end.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
Okay. G center. So this is going down to your yellow diamond in your chest. Yeah. So
not going down to my other G center. Okay, I'm with you.
No.
Not yet. All right.
No, we haven't got to that part yet. That's your sacral, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so G center is the big yellow diamond in the middle of your chest. That's the identity center. You're connected, like you're hooked straight into the flow of life. Like, you are literally, through that, you are wired straight to the universe. In human design speak, they call it the magnetic monopole. And I've yet to learn anywhere near enough about what that definition means, but it sounds really important to do with connecting to the universe. So
wow.
It's like
when you say I'm hooked in, so I missed that first part. So I'm hooked into the flow of life, and it's called a magnetic monopole.
Yeah, and you are literally like wired straight to the universe through that.
Yeah,
because you've got it lit up in your design, and it's defined. And so then in terms of like specific for you around that, you have two parts of your design that you've got like both primal yin and yang energy. So you've got what's known as the 1 and the 2, and you basically means that you've got both of the masculine and the feminine. You've got the real, like the original OG yin yang going on, nothing that's been like diluted over time. And so basically what that gives you is like, you've not only got the constant drive to like create or learn something new, like creating ideas, newness, which kind of like allows you to really shine, but you've also got the other side, which is the gift of working out how to do it and to understand it. So it's like you've got the ability to translate all those ideas and newness and make it into reality. So for someone like you that is like your own business and your own life and everything's all like interconnected, it easily makes you really self-sufficient, because you've got the ability to like be the ideas person and the implementation. You're not like someone who's like left with all the ideas but doesn't know how to make it happen, so you need to bring someone on. You've got the ability to be both. So that resonates so hard, and it's something that I actually have struggled with the effects of, because for most of my life it's really made me into a lone wolf, not because I'm like purposely not wanting anyone's help, but I just have never needed it. And often in friendships, when I was a bit younger, I would have comments made of being like, Jackie, like, we're always telling you our problems, but you never share your problems. Like, you never share what's going on with you. And I'm just like, I just process through them. I'm like, all right, here's the challenge. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. And I move through it, I know. So yeah, you've got that like ability to basically be both yin and yang, self-sufficient, do it all. And then equally from that G center, and this is where we get into like the stuff that's like, whoo, like you've just got like this deep-seated love of humanity as the collective, and you've got the gift of being able to see the full spectrum of human behavior and still embrace it for what it is without judging it. So that's your gift of your
thing to describe me ever.
That's your gift of your G center, is that because that's defined and you've got that ability to embrace the world without judging them, that's what like basically makes you super magnetic and attracts people to you like super easily.
Wow. And I've had that said to me so many times over the last couple of months, especially of just like what people love about me in my life that I've got at the moment is just that total non-judgment of just people just people are just people, a human just being a human,
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fuck, that's amazing. That just makes so much sense.
Yeah. How are you going for time? Because I'm like looking at the clock and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, you're good. Okay. I don't want to like, my like need to like share everything. Like, I don't want
to project to you.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll dive back into your spleen for a second. And so obviously we've talked a bit about what that is, and because it's defined for you, it means that you've got like you can refer to it constantly, and it is your authority. So that's why you've got a real strong sense of trusting those signs, and basically it's like for you, it's anything that might be coming from that's like a fear for you. Is something that basically that's like your kind of sign from the universe that it's like in this lifetime, that's your challenge to transform that fear.
Okay, let me write that down. Yeah, I like that.
So it's like, rather than looking at it with a negative connotation, it's like, okay, this thing that maybe is like always bugging me, that's my challenge, like in this lifetime, to transform that into a positive.
Would that explain why like when I do feel fear about something, I dive straight into doing it? I make it my mission to overcome it. So it's not so much that I'm like consistently trying to beat my fears. It's more just like, hey, I just noticed I'm scared of that, which means, and like intrinsically I'm like, hey, that means I get to like lean into it now, and I make it like my mission to work through it and then to come out the other side, because I've trained myself, I suppose, to see fear as growth.
Yeah. And that's probably where, like, for you, because you've got that, you've kind of gone through those levels of like self-awareness and like doing the inner work. So you understand that, like, even though that is like a worry or a fear, it doesn't actually matter. Like, it can be a healthy thing, and it can be transformed and like reframed into something that's a positive. And yeah, like you've healed that karma, basically. Like, it might have come with you from a past life of something that happened, and like this is your opportunity to heal it and move on.
Wow.
Yeah. And so the other thing,
reading a book of how to be me.
it's like, right. Yeah. And so then with a defined spleen, something that can be a challenge again for you is that it can be really tempting to take your health for granted. And you will often be the type of person that you won't realize you're sick until you're like really fucking sick. Like, you have to be like on death's door to even like acknowledge that you're sick. So if you do get run down, or like start to feel like you are getting run down, you've got to allow yourself that time to completely heal, because it can be easy for you to just go like, no, I'm fine, I'll just keep soldiering on. And then I'll say that one fear that's like specific for your soul is that, how have I got it worded here that I want to make sure it makes sense? So it's like, a fear for you is that there is no purpose or meaning to life unless you are out there taking risks.
Holy shit!
Does that make sense?
It makes so much sense. Like, I literally like even this is just the only example I can think of right now, but like even when I was in LA, right? I put together like a list of like maybe 100 different Airbnb experiences and I didn't want to choose them. I wanted to send the list to my brother and to Tom and get them to choose one for me, so that I could experience something beyond my own comfort zone that I would choose, that I wouldn't choose. That someone else would choose for me, so that I can expand and I can take risks and I can like go beyond and learn all these new things, like fuck. It just makes me I literally feel like I'm dying unless I'm like pushing myself and like trying new things. And I don't mean pushing myself in like a it feels bad way. It always feels really good, right? Like, I love it. It's a lot of fun, but I totally understand after what you just said that it's like this intrinsic desire to just consistently be taking risks and to lead to that expansion. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And so I guess that's where for you, it's like connecting to your spleen authority to know whether you are still taking that risk, or that like pushing yourself out of your comfort zone from like a place that's like energetically correct, that you're not just doing it because you're like, oh my God, otherwise I haven't grown, I haven't found meaning, I haven't, like doing it from the right
fear ever. That, and to like die without having fulfilled my purpose. Those are like my biggest fears. And tsunamis. Just saying. why we're having
I can't, unfortunately, I can't tell you whether you're good at like swimming in strong currents. Like that's probably like one thing I can't tell you.
I love being in the ocean. So, we'll figure it out one day.
Yeah. And just, like trusting that in fact, there is other purpose and meaning to life. Like, beyond just always like pushing yourself to take risks.
Wow.
Yeah.
This
okay.
Amazing.
So that's your spleen. So now we're going to go down to at the very bottom of your chart, the little brown square that is your root center or chakra, which is in your chart is defined. And so back when we were talking about the throat and like the pressure of everything flowing to your throat, for you, the root is one of the two pressure centers in the body, and that's the one for you that's defined. So the pressure is coming from your root center or root chakra. It's the home of adrenaline and momentum. So that's where all your like chi energy is coming from in your design, right? So basically for you, it's really natural for you to have a get up and go feeling. Like that is authentic for you. It's not that you're absorbing that from someone else. You genuinely have that in your design. You've also got like a real reliable way of dealing with pressure that's consistent for you, and you can easily correct something if it's not working for you. You've got with having that designed, you've got a gift of existential awareness, and then also the survival consciousness coming from your spleen, because in your design, in your chart, those two are linked together, so they kind of hold hands, your spleen and your root chakra. You've got like a channel that links the two. I think have you got two actually that link on yours?
Well, it's got like the black.
Oh, sorry, no, you've got one that links those two. That's right. I was thinking your throat and your G center. But you've got one. So basically the two hold hands, and so that's why you've got this gift that basically allows you to take the awareness and the survival consciousness. That means that you are basically always super excited about being alive in a physical body. It's like if anybody sees your stories and your morning routine, it's like every day you're like, I'm just so fucking grateful for being alive and in this body.
It's like my modus operandi, like fuck yes, I am so excited just about life. Like just waking up every day excites the fuck out of me. Like it is a good day if I'm just like even looking at my roof when I wake up in the morning. Wow.
Also coming from like that root center is that you've got to drive to live life to the fullest. There is more to life than simply just staying alive and existing. And that fuel of the adrenaline you've got in your root center, which is consistent for you, means that you've got to drive to constantly be like going out and seeking and finding purpose. And it also is like, no matter how much of a struggle it might be for you to find that, like you will overcome any obstacle. That inner drive you've got in you to like not just like rise up, but like live out your spiritual potential and then transform others around you. And this is where it's going to get like really fucking woo, but like it's literally for you, it's like you help transform others by mastering the game of the mundane or the human plane first, and then pass on that spiritual transformation that comes second.
Just say that again so I can write that down, because that just feels so right. It's not even funny.
So you've got a drive to live your spiritual potential, and then also transform others around you by showing them how to master the game of the mundane or the human plane first in their life.
How to master the game of the human mundane, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Fuck yeah. That's literally what I do.
Yeah. It's like, honestly, it's like
that should be on Instagram. Like that is really what I do. Like just thinking about it, I like, fuck, that is in everything that I do. Like even teaching people how to just find pleasure in like a sip of water, and feeling how good it feels to have that sip of water, as opposed to just being like, oh, it's just water, like
water. Yeah.
that fires me the fuck up. Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. That's why, like, when you think about what you do now and the changes you've made, it's just like you are so living in your design. It is so fucking cool, but it's like incredible to now go and look at it and be like, yeah, you are. Like, you literally are. Like,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. And you know, it's so funny, like, and I'm just cracking up at myself right now because I'm just doing exactly what you just told me that I do. And I'm just going, okay, cool. So how do I take this to the next level now? Like, how do I, like, let's expand, like, you know, like what would it feel like if I like really lean fully into this and just live my entire, you know, like I'm just already going like that.
And then the other bit that's going to be really mind blowing, like the other tagline for your bio is that, your root energy and that vitality and drive you've got helps other people to go from a place of talking about doing something to just actually fucking doing it. That's your gift. God, that's unique. That's unique to you. Like, wow. That. Yeah.
Wow. Holy shit. I'm just writing this down.
Yeah.
Yeah. And again, that's such a huge part of what I do. Like, that even, yeah, literally everything that I do is helping people move from where they are to where they want to be by taking that action, right?
And showing them that they can't just keep talking about it. They have to actually do it.
It's really cool, Rose, to hear that this is all part of my design because, you know, actually, to be honest, up until this point, like, I've just assumed almost that it's just like everyone knows this, like, but don't you all have this like adrenal like push to get up and go, like, all you need to do is tap into it, you know? It's like, no, actually, that's that you can show other people how to get there, you know? Wow, this is mind-blowing.
Yeah, so it's like literally this is what your soul before you were born as like the physical baby Jackie chose. This is the time I'm going to come back down because this is what I want to come here in this lifetime and do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
What else have I got about your root chakra here? Because I want to make sure that I'm getting through stuff because I feel like I'm taking forever to tell you everything. So
no, you're right. This is so interesting.
So yeah, just to finish off on your root chakra, you are very determined to go your own way in life. Brackets. Some people might even call you stubborn, in the most loving way.
Mum, if you're listening to this, I love
you. In the most loving way possible.
Yeah.
You are determined to overcome even the most overwhelming odds to get there. And then it's basically like trusting your spleen that will give you the cues to help you know what battles are for you. Like, what are the challenges to overcome so that you don't basically like just go through all of them because you're determined to go through all of them. Like, your spleen will tell you which ones to like pick and choose. Yeah. And that will then lead you to basically finding that deeper life purpose. And, you know, going back to the feeling like you've got to take risks to feel like you found your purpose, like this will help you guide to know like which ones are actually for you. To deepen that life purpose and like meaning that you want to kind of be always like trying to find.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. And then lastly, in that sense of that adrenal energy, because you've got that and because you're so driven to find that purpose and go through those process, if you aren't feeling like you're doing it, you will get like a buildup of excess energy and pressure. And so that even though you're a projector and you typically should be taking it a lot easier and not doing like real super intense like exercise, you actually do need to burn off that energy with regular like exercise and movement that is right for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And like that's a key part of even my daily activation is moving my body. Like it's like three times a day.
Yeah. So it's like literally like taking away that pressure that's building up, because if you feel like, oh my God, I haven't like pushed myself hard enough to kind of like deepen my like experience and knowing and blah, 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 like it's just kind of giving yourself a release to like let that energy go.
Wow. Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to dive into the stuff that's white. And we'll talk about firstly, the one that's completely open, your heart, which is the little funny shaped triangle just beside your yellow diamond in the middle of your chest. And so the heart is the center for willpower, for ego, but in ego and human design, they actually talk about it in a slightly different way to probably what you and I would usually talk about when we talk about ego from the like sort of, I guess like self-development world. Like in human design, they define it as like a healthy expression of what you desire. So like,
cool. I like that.
like the ego in this sense is like what you actually desire coming from like a good place. And also the heart center is like the center of the love of the material world and for material things. So that's why like it's so like not funny, because it's not by any chance like this is what your soul came here. Like you literally have no need for the material. You have no desire to desire material things or the material plane. You don't have it. You're completely open in this part of your soul. So 70% of the world has this undefined. So you're not alone, but most people will have like some sort of line coming off it that's like their motivation, that even though they're like really open, it basically means that they won't be consistently motivated, and that's okay. So like the world tries to tell us that we're supposed to always be like motivated and go, 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 but it's not true, because like our willpower will come and go. It'll like come and go in a wave if it's open. So that's fine. It's basically just knowing that you like, it's fine for it to come and go.
One of the things that I'm really grateful to be really fucking good at teaching and helping people with is money mindset. And I think that's because my whole life I've never had an attachment to money, which is why it's manifested so easily for me, because like what I teach with obviously manifestation is again comes back to that core dominant vibration. If it's something that you're needing, it's coming from that space of lack and of attachment and of scarcity, versus the way that I run it, which is like money is just a physical symptom of living in alignment with the energy of abundance, which I feel so deeply connected to. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And because your soul literally has no need for financial means or outcome, like you don't care, you like literally have no attachment to material, money, anything like that. You just trust that the abundance will come.
And oh my God, like, yeah, I have no doubt that I'm always taking more than taken care of. And that's the exact reality that I experience and receive from the universe.
Yeah. So your soul's motivation is all the stuff that we've just been talking about the like helping people transform, helping them to see that there's like spiritual development beyond the mundane. And like literally you just trust that like the checks will show up in the mail pretty much. Like,
can I just tangent us for 1 second and ask you just a real quick question?
Yeah.
When I did like an amazing, I had a fucking epic breathwork experience with the O2 Awakening in Bali. And one of the things that happened is like, I had been feeling a bit of guilt around, you know, there was a comment by someone who was close to me at the time that, you know, Jackie, it doesn't get to be this easy for everybody. Like not all of us get to have it as easy as you've got it. And that really triggered me and it really hurt me. And it made me kind of really question like, shit, is it supposed to be really hard? And anyway, and I went on this journey with breath work, and I at one point was completely out of my body, and I was surrounded by these 12 light beings, and they were just telling me, you know, because obviously this came through during my journey, and they just kept saying, and they didn't use their mouths, it was a energetic conversation. They just kept saying to me, you are here to show people how easy it gets to be.
Yeah.
Like that, does that connect?
Yeah, 100%. Like that is your design. Like you literally are here to show people that this is what you go through, like your experience of the human, and you're sharing that for other people. Like you can't do it for them, like we were talking about before, but you can show them and you can guide them and you can lead them, and you can kind of be like, hey, if you connect with what I'm saying, come with me and I'll like teach you, but you have to do it yourself. So but equally, like and that could be something maybe that like if you get somebody coming back to you like in the future who says that kind of thing, it might actually be because in their design they have a real desire for material things. They've got a real like, you know, they've got things in their design that is like very connected to the material world and what the ego wants and what the, you know, so it might be for them that actually trying to get into the space that you come from is like poles apart. Like it might energetically be almost impossible for them. So that's where like, again, it's like the empowering thing of like knowing what it is about you, so that you're not kind of left there sitting there going like, there's something wrong with me.
Right. Like, it needs to be harder. Like that's such, I can't even connect with that. Like, it's like, no, it doesn't. It gets to be easy. That's one of my sayings, right? It fucking gets to be easy. Like this whole life thing, like it doesn't have, oh my God, I'm literally doing it right now. Yeah.
So so basically that's like the core thing for you, with the fact that you're completely open in that center. Like it just means that like literally you have nothing to prove when it comes to money, material things. You just trust and rely on your like being a projector, having your spleen to guide you, and then you're here to share that wisdom with others. So that for you is like a real big one as well. So it's very, very cool. Okay, other undefined centers. So all your other ones have got at least something coming off them, but they're open, like they're undefined. Sorry. So it's like you are open in this space that you can take on other people's shit basically really easily. So we'll start with your ajna, which is actually like the second one down from the top of your chart. It's the triangle that's pointing downwards above your throat. And so that
would be like our third eye and like normal chakras, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And so like you could also call it like your mind consciousness. And so for the fact that you've got this undefined, it means you've got an open and flexible mind. And once you probably have already done this, is like to be set free of like conditioning from society or other people, basically just means that you then open up that power of having like access to the full range of like stimulation and creativity that's available to like come to you. Whereas like for people who maybe have been like super conditioned, they might be quite closed, even though they've got that open in their chart. They might need to do the work. So again, going back to that sieve kind of analogy, it's like you basically can like take everything in and then sieve through it, and then basically just like discern based on your spleen what is right for you and what is worth holding on to for you, or you just like let it all go. It can all just go straight through you.
Wow.
Yeah. And so then specific for you, you are someone who, and we talked about this, that you constantly receive new ideas. Like newness is really important for you, but you also constantly receive lots of new ideas. And this probably comes down to your channeling as well, because you always come up with stuff, but not all the ideas are for you.
Yeah.
You probably already know this anyway, but like listening to your spleen to know what is for you, and then also like having an outlet, which you do through the work you do, that is the space where you can give what is meant for others and like share that with them.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And it's so important for you to have that, because not everything that will come to you is for you.
Yeah, and it took me a long time to trust that actually, because like, especially because that's only something I've been doing in my coaching for probably the last 8 months. Whereas before that I would have these like almost these urges to say something, but then I would judge myself and I wouldn't trust myself, and I'd be like, no, who am I to tell this person, you know, what the fuck, you know? But actually what it is direct guidance that's just using me as a vehicle to get through. And yeah, I mean, that's why I often say like, this is coming through for you. Like, it's not me. I'm not the one saying this. This isn't my personal opinion. You know, it's something coming through for you.
Yeah, and having that outlet is super important, because it then allows you to like channel stuff, but you've got an outlet to like send it somewhere. Is important. Yeah. And knowing and trusting what is meant to stay with you as well. So then we'll go up to your head now, which is the arrow that's facing upwards right at the top of the chart. And so this is the other pressure center when you think about like the chi and the energy flowing through your body, but yours is undefined. And the head is typically what is probably for a lot of people might already guess that it's basically where you focus on your questions. It's where you hold your doubts. And when your head is undefined, you'll feel like your inspiration is not consistent. So it's like you can get inspired, but then you might also get sidetracked by your own internal monologue that's going on for you. So it's like, again, trusting your authority, that it's like, get out of your own head. And you've said this to me anyway, like heaps of times, like drop out of your head, get into your body, right? But like in your case, it would be like, get out of your head and drop into your spleen, and like just understand that that's what's kind of running the show. And like your head is just open, and you can be the kind of like sieve of like, stuff can come and go, inspiration can come and go. It doesn't matter if it's not consistent, that's right for you.
Wow.
Yeah. Rather than like, you know, obviously for a lot of people in this world, they're like, oh my God, I'm supposed to be like constantly inspired and creative and blah, blah, blah. Because we've been told we're supposed to have that like consistent willpower and like motivation. And it's just not right for like heaps of people.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. And I definitely resonate with that. Like I will wake up, like yesterday I was so fucking inspired. I spent the whole day creating such epic content, like just channeling, just fucking like nailing it, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen all the time. And I think it's something you've really just ignited within me, is the feeling of knowing that it's enough to, like, we don't have to be inspired all the time, right? Because there's always doubts that go on around, like, well, if I'm not inspired, am I connected to my vision? Am I connected to my purpose? Like, have I got this all wrong? Am I supposed to be a street cleaner instead? You know, not, I mean, like, is that my life purpose? You know, like,
yeah.
You know, whereas actually it's just, inspiration is not something that is permanent. Inspiration is something that is needed to be acted on, or it does sometimes just go off for a bit. You know, it's not a consistent thing.
Yeah. And so like not to feel like worried,
yeah,
I think is the main thing. And that's where that reassurance of knowing that that's true for you and like in terms of what you are. So like something that is specific for you though, to do with that center, is that your gift within that, and like that inspiration and that way that your head works, is that you've got and again, like this doesn't come as a surprise to me, but you've got the awareness of like universal underlying principles, and you've got the ability to like unravel the mystery and to inspire others. So it's like fucking just like tripling down on your message of like what you're here to do and what your soul's purpose is.
Yeah, because like I've been studying the universal laws and that sort of stuff for over 12 years, but it's something that I've always known. I've just been able to put names to in the last 12 years, you know, like, oh, so it's like not normal for you to just like think of something, feel something, and then have it happen in your life. Like, oh, okay, you know?
Like, yeah, oh, you don't get that.
That makes so much sense. Wow, yeah.
And then I guess for you, like the challenge is that you've got to like learn to enjoy that thought and like inner knowing and inner truth that comes through when the timing is right, but also that you're here to like enjoy the mystery, but you don't need to solve it. Like you don't have the other part that connects, that is the solving end. So you're here literally to just enjoy it, be aware of it, inspire others, but you don't need to solve it. Like that's not what you're here for. But you might come across someone who's got that part in their design, and then that's where you might feel like you guys suddenly like complete each other, and you're able to like go, oh my God, this suddenly all now makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll all say about that.
We'll just drop that one there.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So now we're going to drop down into your emotional center, your solar plexus, which is on your chart, is the down on the right hand side when you're looking at it, and it's the triangle that's kind of pointing to the left. But yours is white, so there's nothing there, but you've got a few lines coming off it. So emotional center, central nervous system for your body is held here, like heaps of your organs, because again, like with your chakras, right? So with this center undefined, that's where we were talking about before, that it's really easy for you to absorb and amplify the emotions of the environment around you. So this is one where for projectors particularly, we have often been like super conditioned from a really young age. We've been really vulnerable our whole life to taking on the moods and the feeling and the emotion of like other people around us, and we didn't know it. So and it's where in childhood or like early adolescence, we've picked up all those coping mechanisms to avoid confrontation, don't rock the boat, you know, like all those things that we pick up because we don't have any like boundary there. We've just absorbed and amplified and then gone like, oh my God, I just want to keep the peace. So I develop all these coping mechanisms that then in adult life, you're like left with going, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So that's where, like we were talking about before, like having the boundaries, being able to discharge the energy and emotion through this center is like so important for a projector, because it's not yours. And again, like I was saying, is that someone might come in and they've got like an emotion that's like 2, 3, 4 out of 10. You take it on, amplify it, and it's like a 11 out of 10, and you're going like, what the fuck, like I'm freaking out about this, and they've already moved on. They're like, what? Yeah,
so true.
Yeah,
so true.
Yeah. And so particularly
as well.
Yeah. So particularly for you, in this center, you've got the gift of being open to listen to others. But the caveat here is that you've got to listen to your spleen, because that you will be open and be able to listen to others until literally the point you've had enough. And then you'll feel your mood flip and you need that alone time. You need alone time.
I'm exactly like that. And I also like when
I love that you just like hid.
I'm so guilty of it. And people often take it as like impatience, but what it really is I just can only do a certain amount of bullshit talking before I can't handle it anymore. And like I'll be speaking to someone and I'll feel them like, and this is just like a normal life, you know, I feel them like justifying their stories and like working themselves into their stories and their limiting beliefs and, you know, their conditioning to try and keep themselves safe. And I just can't do it. Like I literally, it's exactly like that. I snap in the terms of, I just go, okay, here's the fucking truth, right? Like I love you, but here it is, right? And it's just like, boom. And then I need to just go away and like not be around that energy.
And that is like, there is nothing wrong with you. That is like, literally, that is what your soul is here to be like. Like that's your, and I think for you, if I remember, is it a black line coming off? Yeah. So it's like,
like those two lines.
Yeah. So it's like a conscious thing that is in your personality. Like it's a conscious thing for you. Yeah.
And I used to try and fight it a lot and try and be real like soft and be like, hey, like, have you thought about like this? But now I'm just like, go. Like you're with the wrong fucking person. You're in the wrong job. Like stop doing this to yourself. Like, you know that this is, you know, and it's just like, and I suppose that's where that value of community comes in, where the people I am surrounded with now, like fucking love that. Like they feast off it. That's what they love about me, you know?
And that's why you're so careful to like make sure that the people that you do trust and give that like access to you is like, they are your tribe. They are like literally your trusted deep tribe. It's probably why, like one of the reasons why that's so important for your soul. Another thing, and this again like is just like tripling down on that, like finding meaning in life through like doing stuff that's like, you know, living life to the fullest, right? So you definitely like, you crave that passion in life, that emotional fullness, and you are really aware of what you are feeling and when you're feeling it. So like, even though you've got this center undefined, which means that you shouldn't have so much of a like emotional wave that some other people do of like going high, 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 and then low, 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 you will literally know, like your mood will dictate what feels right for you when. So like literally, if you're in the mood to eat, you'll eat. If you're in the mood to work out, you'll work out. If you're in the mood to nap, you'll nap. Just do it. Like, just go with it. But like, if somebody tries to come in and say like, hey, Jackie, do you want to go do this thing? And you don't, no, it's like, it's never going to be a good outcome if you say yes when you shouldn't. Yeah,
definitely not. Like, it just can't be fucked. Nah.
That's like literally.
It's not even like, I don't force myself to do anything. Like I follow what feels good, right?
Yeah. And that's so right for your design. Like literally.
You know how they always say like, eat right for your type? Like this is so human designer. It's like, act right for your type.
And we're like going to get to that in a second, like a little touch on that it's like, you're definitely already eating right for your design. Like when we get
I didn't even know that there was like an eating thing.
There's like something that like gives you a little like few like kind of breadcrumbs to follow and like kind of experiment with. So the last one that we just need to cover quickly is your sacral, which is like the one that in your design, in your chart is white, but it's straight above the root. It's like directly above there. And this is the one that if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, you've got this colored in, but that's no one else does. So even like manifestors don't have this colored in. And so this is for people who've got this defined, this is their motor or like their energy power bunny generator that they've always got access to. But like for you and I as projectors, we don't have this. Like, so it means that we don't have our own energy source. And because it's undefined, it also means that like 70% of the world around you, you're vulnerable to all their like energetic buzz coming at you all the time. And so typically for projectors, you might find yourself like running on borrowed energy from like other people, which means it's really easy for you to overdo it and burn out because the energy you're using isn't your own. And particularly for you, like with your root adrenaline source going on, knowing enough when enough is a real challenge. And that's something for you to like always be aware of, to know when to quit and give yourself that time to like recharge and like, just kind of like rest and know that enough's enough. Like you've just got to do it rather than like riding somebody else's energetic wave.
Totally. Yeah, that 100% resonates.
Yeah. And then just for a last mind-blowing thing that is like specific to your whole soul's purpose, you've basically got the thing that is the Mother Teresa power, right? The care for others, compassion for others, like that is literally inherently you have got that through and through. And again it just like quadruples down on those other things about like caring for other people, all of that we talked about before. So so the biggest caveat that comes with that, because your sacral is really easy to burn out, is remembering to take care of yourself and have your boundaries in place so that you can live out that purpose and that drive to take care of other people and have that altruistic kind of view on the world. You've got to make sure that you are putting in the care of yourself first, because you won't know when enough is enough.
Yeah, I really don't. People often have to tell me like, hey, like sit down, like, hey, stop what you're doing. You know, and I'm just like, what? Like, is this, what do you mean?
Because you've got that root energy that's like going straight to it. That's like, like you literally have to know when that moment is to just go like, okay, I've just got to take a break, recharge, have my alone time, have my boundaries, reset.
Wow. Fuck, this is just next level. Like this, I just feel like I'm speaking to like my soul in a mirror, you know?
Yeah. So the last thing I want to cover for you just quickly, because it's like literally when you asked me before how long this takes, like I just realized like we're literally on like 2 hours.
Well, there's your answer, right? And it's such a value-packed 2 hours too.
So so the last thing I want to talk about is that in your chart, you will see at the top of the head, there's like 4 arrows that sit either side of the head on your chart. Today they're on the, there's like one side, there's 2 that are black and one side there's 2 that are red, right? Okay, so basically what these are is this is how you process your life. Like they give you some real good clues. So if they point to the left, it's a representation of masculine energy and a masculine energetic way of dealing with the world. And if it points to the right, it's a feminine energetic expression. So in your chart, you've actually got 3 that point to the left, and then you've got 1 that points to the right. So you have got the balance there. And we know already you've got the yin and the yang in your like monopole. So, but in terms of the way you process life, you've got a more heavily probably predominant masculine energy. Okay, so we'll go through these as quick as I can.
Like I do, like I don't actually know what you're about to say, but it feels right, you know?
Okay, so top, I'll try and describe them as well, so for people listening it might be useful too. So top left, yours is left facing, and this is to do with your digestion, but it's like how you digest everything in your life. So this goes for food, information, learning, right? Like it literally is the way you digest life as a whole. And for you, because it's that left arrow masculine, it's active, like it's an active digestion of everything. So literally like you have a brain that is always on. Like it's always active, it's always on, it's always working, even if you don't know it's working. So that's where you need to, like for projectors particularly, it's almost like nourishing it enough so that it's always got fuel. So like typically like grazing or like eating kind of little and often through the day will help to keep your brain constantly nourished, rather than say like fasting or only eating like 3 really big meals a day. Like, so it's kind of like, it's not a hard and fast rule, but it's like little things that can help. If you experiment with them, you might find that like, oh, okay, this actually is helping me. Because there's like, if you've got a right arrow in this kind of case, you can almost think of like your brain will like sit back in the lazy boy and like wait until it needs to work. And then it's like, it goes to work. Whereas yours is always going. And mine's the same as this as well. It's like always on, always going. And then for you, like planning, routine are your friends. They help you to feel really supported. And that comes down to that like active, sort of more masculine way. Consistency, and like you by your nature will be like a more consistent person in kind of holistically, and then having like patterns and structure that support that will like help your soul to kind of shine. And then when it comes down to the more specifics with like in terms of eating food and like drinks, like for you in your design, sticking to stuff that is local and fresh, which I know already you do. Yeah. It's really funny like to know that about you and then see this in your chart that I'm like, wow, she's already doing it. So that's really fucking cool. Like you're you. And then also like something that you might find is that having plenty of options for you to choose from is quite important to you, and being in charge of what you eat and being on your own terms is really important for you as well. Like you'll find that you always feel better in that kind of situation.
Yeah, because I always like intuitively eat. I'll like stand at the fridge and I'll be like, what do I feel like? Not what do I want, or like what does my brain want, or whatever. It's like what do I feel like, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And if somebody says like, oh, I've brought you this food and you really don't want it, it'll feel awful for you to have to like sit there and kind of be like, oh, thanks. Like really didn't want this.
And I can't fake it as well. Like I can't do the whole like, oh, yay.
I'll just eat it anyway. Yeah. So just know that that's like natural for you. It's not that you're faulty. It's not that you're rude. It's like literally that's just what you're here. Like, that's for you. Okay, bottom left arrow again for you is left facing, and this is the same for me as well. I've got like, I think all my arrows are left facing, so I'm like totally all masculine kind of tendencies, and this is all to do with your environment. And so for you, again, like the kind of masculine influence means like comes back to that structured environment, having a habitat that you live in that is kind of consistent in some ways will support you and bring out your best kind of soul's expression. So it's like, and I guess for you as well, like even though you've done a lot of traveling, having that kind of like home base that's been like your,
honestly, Rose, like if you were in my brain for the last 2 months, you would be laughing so much right now, because like all I've been saying for the last like 2 to 3 months is just that my soul is just yearning to have a base now. Like traveling solo for a year was like fucking amazing, best thing I've ever done in my life. But over the last 2 to 3 months, my soul was done. My soul was like, Jackie, get the fuck home, create a base. It's time. Like you need this consistency. You need this stability in your life now. So that is really like no surprise to me at all.
So you did all your risk taking, you did all your growing, and now you're like, okay, now I need to like drop the pin somewhere. So something that might be of interest to you is that again, like it kind of ties in as like you're a type of person that's here to be observed. So it's like, because you've got that structure and that kind of gift of like sharing with others, anybody who's got the right facing more feminine will like observe you and will go like, oh, I can like kind of catch a ride on that. Like I can see the way Jackie's doing it, and like I can observe what you're doing. So it's like you're aware that kind of that role model, again, that role model line that you've got underlying is like, you know, that kind of what you do in your life is like to share with others so that they can observe it.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
And then just lastly, in terms of like with creating that kind of ideal place or habitat for you, what will light you up the most is like, try and imagine it's like a kitchen or a laboratory, like in a kind of like mindset where basically you can pick and choose all the right ingredients to come together to create your perfect environment. So you might want to be based somewhere where, depending on how you feel each day, you've got the option of adding in like a splash or a dash from like all these different things. So if one day you want like really vibrant, humming, bustly energy, you can like easily access that. But if you've got another day that you want quiet and peace, you can do that. If you want somewhere that's like got a lot of culture and personalities and cafes, you can add that in when you want to. So it's like imagining that you're in sort of somewhere that's like easy to access all of those things, rather than being like me, the hermit that's like way out on the beach, miles away from anywhere.
That would appeal to like 12% of me on the 12% of days where I need that. But then it's going to be like 10% that needs this, and then this, and
you
this.
need all the other that you can kind of like drop in and like mix up a batch of whatever. And then like the added part for you is that on top of that, like as a kind of like overarching place would be anywhere that is leafy, green, and tropical.
Wow. Well, leafy green is literally like, I don't know if you can see like out there, if it's going to focus for us.
Wow, look at it.
We're like literally out the New Zealand natural bush is on this doorstep. It's like ancient forest just here. And I fucking thrive off that. Like the Taurus in me as well is just addicted to that.
Yeah, so like that for you, it's like having that mix of stuff, but then having kind of that overarching environment that's like, tropical, leafy green, and more kind of like, I want to say like humid, like, or wet, like a little bit, like not like, not Sahara Desert type. Yeah.
Nah. Which is funny because I lived in like desert heat Africa for like 8 years. So and wasn't, so that's, again, just another tick. Yeah.
There you go. So, okay, now we're going to do the other two arrows. So top right, this one for you is right facing. So this is your one that is kind of the more feminine way of processing. And this is your awareness. So this is like pretty much what you could call being like right brain. So it's like you see the creativity, you think in like more like an artistic, imaginative fantasy, and like the fact that you're writing like a
busted, yeah.
So like you've got all that in your brain, like you probably don't care so much about like the numbers or statistical stuff, like it's more in like beauty, hidden meanings, conversations, and like in terms of the way your brain likes to process, like you can explain stuff, but you don't want someone to ask you like a real specific fact that you have to recall. Like, you don't want to have to go there.
I just don't have the specific facts. Like I just think of it in a very abstract, like,
you've got like a
good, like, pick up on the vibe, man.
Like, and that's totally like how your brain works. It's like, you're not meant to like learn numbers and facts and like, So that's that one. And then last one, which I think you'll love from this one, because I really think this is like mind blowing when I found out about this. Bottom right arrow, and yours is left facing, same as me. And this is so the masculine way. And basically what this is kind of called is perspective, but what it actually is determines whether you are a specific or non-specific manifester. And so you with having the left means you are a specific manifester.
Why does that not surprise me?
So again, like, I mean, you'll know all this, but I'll say it for like people listening, is basically like, because you're a specific manifester, it means that you design your life as you wish to see it. So you consciously structure everything to build your ideal perspective. And it's like, it's structured. It's that masculine energy. You decide exactly what you want. Down to like the last little detail. So that's for you. And again, it's like deciding exactly the energy you want right down to the specific detail. So like, it's almost like you actively and like consciously choose what you want, and then you hand over the shopping list to the universe and you're like, get me this, exactly this.
That's how I run every single fucking area of my life, from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep. Like there's not a truer thing in that. So typically for like specific manifestors as a whole, they will thrive and like manifest really easily with like lists, visualization, vision boards, all of that stuff that like gets down to the nitty gritty and like the exact energetic details. And then also like building that energetic excitement, which is what you often talk about, is like that gives you your highest state of like gratefulness and vibration. So like it's all exactly what you talk about. That is the best feeling ever for me, is when I'm tapped into that just expansion of excitement about just life. But then equally for like people who kind of don't resonate with that, it may actually be because they've got the right facing arrow and they are a non-specific manifester. So that was something that was real like mind blowing for me, because I was like, well, actually there are a whole lot of people who like, they actually to focus on the nitty gritty and the detail isn't right for them. And it's like learning to use that power so that if they're manifesting,
they get into the energetics of it, and then they basically hand that over and go, surprise me, universe. I want to feel this certain way, but surprise me with what you give me.
See, that just doesn't even appeal to me. Like that.
Yeah, you're like, fuck that shit. I can see your face. You're like, huh?
Yeah, wow, that is so fascinating.
So if you get, when you're teaching your manifestation, like if you get anybody who comes to you and is like, fuck, Jackie, I've been doing this for like years and none of it's working, it could well be because they need to do non-specific manifesting.
Wow. And then I need to send them to my girl Rose so that she can read their human design charts, right?
It can help.
I just don't even know what to say. I'm so blown away.
So that's all I'm gonna pepper you with today.
All as if it was like a 10-minute download. Like that was 2 hours of just learning about myself in the most amazing way ever. Like every single thing you said resonates so much, Rose. Like I'm blown away. I'm gonna need time to like process this.
And it's crazy because it's like, I think when you get into the space that, like, you know, obviously I've worked with you on and things, it's like you kind of already have got like so much of it done because it's like you've naturally gone through that process of like deconditioning from all the stuff that maybe had like affected you, and you've tuned into like all those guiding authorities that have told you like, this is, listen to your purpose, listen to your soul. Like you've got the gift of being able to like channel information. So it's like you've tuned into all that, but like thinking back to past versions of yourself, you didn't have any of this knowledge. So
yeah. Or if I had like an inkling of what my soul wanted, I was so obsessed with the justification of being or continuing to stay in the story that I'd created that I would just turn it off, which would end up just making me even more depressed and so disconnected from that life force, you know?
Yeah. So
I'm so blown away. Like I just feel like I've been opened up and just like read. That was so incredible, Rose. Thank you.
It's like
not even enough.
Thank you. I you know, you're so welcome, because it's just like that moment where you go like, oh my God, this is actually like the universe just handed me my permission slip to fully be myself. Like literally. Yeah. Like I don't have to hide any of it. I don't have to worry about any of it. Like this is me, and all the stuff that I questioned about myself, maybe I just know like it's fine.
Man. Yeah. I can't wait to like watch this and listen to this again and take even more notes. I think I've literally taken like 10 pages of notes. Yeah.
Well, I've got notes to send you anyway as well. So, but your left brain probably wants to like annotate them all as well.
100%.
And highlight.
Yeah. 100%. Holy shit. Thank you so much, Rose. Thank you. Thank you. And I cannot wait for so many more people to get access to your magic through this too.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you for being happy to come on and have your chart be read, because it's quite like, as you say, it's like opening up like energetically.
Hey, well, what did we just learn about me, right? Like I'm obsessed with taking risks and growing and expanding. So the more uncomfortable I can make myself, the better.
Well, at least now, like anybody who gets like attracted to your like presence in the world knows you're not like full of shit. Like you literally walk the walk. Like you literally like, it's like legitimately me and my DNA. Like I'm not just saying this.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, I really need to decompress this.
Oh, I'm just so grateful for you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Can I give you an energetic hug through the screen?
Yeah, yeah, let's do it.
Oh, that felt so good. Thank you. Like that was amazing.
Whoa. Oh my God. I hope you loved that. I hope you loved listening to that. I hope you got some real like just spine tingling awesome moments out of that episode. I know I just came away from reading Jackie's chart going, oh my God, this was so much fun, so incredible. It just lights me up to know that I can share this gift with other people and to help them to just have that clarity around who they actually are. So even if you are, no matter where you are on the kind of range of either you've done lots of self-development work or you're really, you know, confident in who you are and what you've worked on for yourself, that you know you're standing in kind of your own truth and your own life, it's just that kind of reassurance and permission to know that where you are and who you are and how you feel is actually genuinely you. And so it's useful whether you've done the work, like we were talking about, Jackie as someone who's lived and breathed spiritual and self-development for a long time now, or equally, if you're new on this journey, this can be a really awesome place to start to at least just give you some clues and breadcrumbs and just certainty to follow when it feels like sometimes it can be really overwhelming to know where to even start, or that you see others who are really far along their journey and it can feel like you just don't even know where to begin to get there yourself, but you just know you've got that like desire inside you to find the answers. This is where human design is just so fucking fantastic for clearing away the clutter and just understanding who you are at your own true core, and just having that ability to just go, oh, relax. I know I've got this, like this is who I am and this is who I'm here to be. So I just hope you loved that episode. I'm so grateful to Jackie for being happy to share what is quite a, personal dive into her own soul. And of course, if you want to learn more about your own human design, that's what I'm here for. This is my gift. This is what I'm here to do. I'm here to guide others. I'm here to help others. And I'm here to teach about human design. Like, it's just what my soul is here for. So, of course, being a projector myself, though, I'm not here to sell my shit to you. So if you want to come and talk to me, you know where to find me, rosetautari.com, or come and hang out with me on Instagram, Facebook. I'm at Rose Tautari, all one word. And I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your feedback on this episode if you listened and found it like as freaking exciting as we did. I love hearing feedback from you all. I love hearing what you think about the episodes. And of course, as I say, if you want to jam on human design, I am here for that all day, every day. And I would love, love, love to hear from you and talk about your human design. If you know what you are as well, if you've jumped onto the mybodygraph.com website where you can input like all your details and find out what you are, come and tell me what you are, because I'd really I find that so fascinating as well. So that's all from me this week, and I cannot wait to see you on the next episode. Bye for now.